Hi there. My name is Tercy Engelhardt, and I'd like to welcome you to the Unreasonably Grateful podcast. The subtitle is Living in Grace by Choice. So, those of you who have been with me for a while have heard this, maybe even 225 times, because that's the episode that we're on. But I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for being a part of my journey and allowing me to share my journey with you. Every week I sit here and I share some little tidbit of wisdom that I've gleaned over my 38-year journey of recovering from living an addictive lifestyle, healing from sexual abuse as a teenage athlete, to living with an eating disorder for 20 years, 16 to 36 years old. So, that said, I've learned from other people's stories, and I've learned that sharing our stories is both an honor and a responsibility because other people can learn from our stories. Those people that come after us that are on their own healing journey. Maybe that's you. And so I want you to listen for something that resonates with you. And perhaps you've heard it before. Maybe it's been said in a different way, or you're in a place now where you can hear it for the first time. And take that wisdom and apply it to your life and see if it doesn't give you a little bit more freedom or ease the journey you're on or move you a little bit further down your own road of recovery, recovering the broken off pieces of yourself that, quite frankly, I've never met anyone who didn't have them. So, that being said, thank you so much for being here. Also on Tuesdays, I offer individual sessions. It's simply an opportunity for you to share with me in a more personal or intimate way. And I get to reflect back to you what I see and what I hear. And so many of us just need somebody to listen and someone to share a more realistic view of ourselves, other than the tainted one that we have a tendency to walk around with that limits what we think as possible, who we think we are, where we think we might be able to go, what we might be able to get done, the level of forgiveness and grace that we can live with. And so, yay, I get to be that person that sits with you. It's an honor and it's a privilege. And if it's something you're interested in, you can sign up on my website, tercyengelhart.com, under the heading Work Together. It's by donation, so don't let money stop you. And yeah, I'll look forward to getting to know you a little bit better. All right. So this episode is called Sometimes Love Says No. I don't know about you, but oftentimes people think that love is gushy, that it's always a yes, that it's sunny and like rainbows and it's a positive force. And it is, but sometimes it says no. And I want to share with you a little bit about that. Now, I would say I'm certainly in my family known as like the positive, optimistic. Maybe people see me as the one who wears rose-colored glasses. Now, I want to share with you that's an image that other people have of me. It's not the one I have of myself. But remember, we're all looking through a filter. I do, however, always look for the opportunity. I always am holding space for who I know people are really underneath whatever they might be presenting or what they might be dealing with. I do believe that things happen, and while they may be difficult and they may be hard and they may be challenging, I do believe that somehow they are for our own good, even if it's a long time before you figure that out. So, that being said, there are times in our life when the most loving thing to do is to say no. And I think that's more difficult when children are older, when when who we're dealing with, perhaps we have longer relationships with. It's one thing to say no to a child who wants candy. It's another thing to say no um, to a child who might be facing jail term. So I want to say a little bit more about that. For those of us who have lived through addiction or dealt with addiction, or for those of us who just have a loved one struggling with addiction, and there's many of us, sometimes recovery may look different than we might like. We might all like for it to be a choice and to be in a nice environment and done in a great way and to be kind and friendly or even beautiful. I have a good friend whose sister went through like 3 high end rehab situations and never recovered. And finally, her parents said no. And she went through not a luxury, not a country club type of recovery situation, and not only recovered, but recovered beautifully and works there and is now engaged and has a beautiful life. And I know other people who have gone through multiple recovery homes and are still struggling and are out in the world trying to figure out their life. And I know others who have gone to jail or prison and recovered in that environment and have gone on and done some amazing things with their life. So I say that because it's never the circumstances. Now, we always think it is, always think that if the circumstances were just different, we'd behave in a different way, or we'd be something different, or we'd make different choices, or it would be better. But the truth is that that's almost never true because it's not out there where recovery happens, it's in here. And in here could be anywhere. And you could have an amazing healing opportunity. I know I read the book Born Again by Chuck Colson, Charles Colson, who was Richard Nixon's right hand guy and kind of lived at the top of the food chain and the top of decadence and also struggled with addiction. And he ended up going to prison in the Watergate scandals. And while in prison, he actually had a renewal in his life, uh, found God and a spiritual life, and he went on to create the largest and most successful prison ministry ever, and it still runs today. So you just never know, and we don't know. And while most of us try to avoid what we would like not to happen, sometimes that is the direction that love sends us. And when we know in our heart of hearts that the answer is no, and we don't say it, we just prolong the suffering and the misery. We inhibit the healing. So if you're on your journey, whatever your journey might look like, and when you ask yourself, what would love do now? And you hear how we hear in those heartfelt ways that it's time for you to say no, then say it. Don't put it off. Don't prolong it. It just increases the suffering. Love is wise. Love is fair. Love never gives up. Um, it doesn't. It doesn't hold grudges or keep track of rights or wrongs. It always forgives. It always perseveres. And sometimes it says no. So when it does, align yourself with that most powerful energy that there is and have the courage to keep your commitment in the direction of love, even if what you're saying is no. Okay. And I'll be here next week. And I look forward to seeing you then.